about is the Regional Food Business Center, and we did have our kickoff for that last week on Tuesday, a week ago. And so North Dakota Farmers Union got some photos. It was held at North Dakota Farmers Union's offices in Jamestown. So I thought I'd use this time to share some of the photos of the kickoff. We learned about a planning framework called WealthWorks, which incorporates all different components of community well-being beyond simply economic well-being. And we did some value chain mapping exercises. So this is Lori Sapu sharing our group's exercise. Another group's. So a lot of sticky notes and white paper. So today's meeting will be a little different in that I personally invited the representatives from the 8 regional planning councils and others that are part of the Regional Food Business Center to join us. This is our regular monthly meeting, although we did push it back a week because of the kickoff for the Regional Food Business Center. So we have been wanting to get more connected with our economic development community since the start. So this is exciting that this project helped make that happen. Because Whitney's having audio challenges, she put in the chat, she does have to hop off for another meeting at 2 p.m. She's the admin for the Fargo Moorhead Local Food Group on Facebook, which has almost 5,000 members. So if we have things to share, we can send them to Whitney and she will get them out to the members of that group, which is a great connection. It is 2 o'clock, so I am going to open the meeting. And we've got 15 people on today, but this is a time for connection. So I think I am going to take the time to do actual introductions. I think we will skip the check-in question just to keep the introductions moving. So if you would share your name and the organization you represent, and if you are part of the Regional Food Business Center, maybe make that known as well. I can start. I am Stephanie Bloomhagen. I'm facilitating and leading the meeting today. I am a board member for the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance. I'm also the executive director for a nonprofit called FARMS, which provides producer education and support for sustainable agriculture and local food systems all across the state of North Dakota. And we are part of the RFBC, which we'll talk more about today. I'm going to pass it over to Felicity.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felicity Merritt. I am the program manager at FARMS. So I work with Stephanie and I work with a lot of our educational programs, helping new and beginning and sustainable farmers. Was that everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will call on Paul over me.
Hello, I farm in Rolette County, and I'm also on the Northern Plains Resource Conservation Development Council, which has been doing some local foods work, and I'm on the FARMS board.
Amanda from Farmers Union.
I'm Amanda McLean. I'm the farm management specialist at North Dakota Farmers Union here in the Jamestown office. And our role in the Regional Food Business Center would be, I will be the state coordinator for North Dakota. So I will be working with all of our partners in North Dakota to oversee this program.
Thank you, Amanda. Serena Weeks.
There. Now I'm unmuted. Hi, I'm Serena Weeks, and I'm with the Tri-County Regional Development Council. We're in Region 1, and we are a TA for the regional food business.
And we'll explain, for those that weren't part of the kickoff, we'll explain what TAs and TA advisories and all that means. Deanna from Guardian Greens.
Hi, I'm Deanna from Guardian Grains. I farm south of Minot, and we produce stone milled flour and pasta and whole grains from our facility that we rent at the Tuttle Rural Innovation Center in Tuttle.
Thank you. Stephanie Erickson.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Erickson. I source food for the Great Plains Food Bank.
Oh, great. Thanks for joining us, Stephanie. Grant Neaters. Oh, great.
Sorry, I'm on my phone. My computer's having a little difficulty. So I'm also the Great Plains Food Bank, and I am out of Bismarck, and I'm the food resource manager. So I do know Guardian Grains for sure.
Great. And Jenna Neaters, are the two of you connected?
Yes, that is my husband. And I'm the local foods coordinator with Bismarck Parks and Rec.
Wonderful. Jill Hawkinson.
Good afternoon. I'm Jill Hawkinson, and I am with USDA Rural Development, and we serve as in an advisory capacity to the North Dakota Local Foods Development Alliance.
Wonderful. How about Ellen?
Hello, everybody. I'm Ellen Knudsen Duffy. I live in Bismarck. I'm on the board of the North Dakota Local Food Alliance, part-time farmer, part-time admin for the solar company Lightspring, and happy to be here. Do a lot of things and happy to meet you all.
Mitch Calkins.
Hi, good afternoon. Mitch Calkins, Lake Agassiz Regional Council. We serve Region 5, the southeast part of the state, and we're a part of the Regional Food Business Center as well.
And Jennifer Schultes.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Schultes. I'm with the South Central Dakota Regional Council out of Jamestown, and I do planning for them.
And Shannon Ellig.
Hi, sorry, I just jumped on here a little late, but I am Shannon Ellig from the Roosevelt Custer Regional Council. I'm the administrator, and we serve Southwest North Dakota. I'm in Bowman.
Wonderful. Sherelle from TCRDC.
Hi, I'm Sherelle. I'm in the same office as Serena from Tri-County Regional Development Council, Region 1, and again, we're a TA.
And Tracy Redland.
Hi, I'm Tracy from South Central Dakota Regional Council. We are in Jamestown as kind of the center of our region, Region 6, and we are a TA provider also.
And Shelby Hazel.
Hello, I am Shelby. I'm the communications coordinator for farms. So all things marketing and outreach, that's me. And I also do a little bit of that for NDLFTA as well.
I'm just scrolling through the list, making sure I didn't miss anyone. Is there anyone on who has not introduced yourself? Wonderful. That's the fastest we've ever done introductions, which is great because we have a lot to cover today. I will share my screen with the agenda, and I will also put the link in the chat. So today's meeting is all about the North Central Regional Food Business Centers, which I believe pretty much everybody on the call today is a part of in some way, even if it's simply that you participate in the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance and we're a member. This is a new program by the USDA, and it creates a lot of great new opportunities for us here in North Dakota. And I think as we are getting to know more about the program, we're finding that it's going to help us accomplish some of the goals that we already had in place for the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance, in that we were already working to build local food systems in North Dakota, and this just gives us a boost in that direction. So what is the USDA Regional Food Business Centers? Back in the fall, I think the first deadline was November. We learned about this program, and that a planning council in Minnesota called Region 5 Development Commission was putting together an application for Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota. And so we were asked to sign on, provide a letter of commitment and participation. We did, and we did in fact, our center was chosen. There are centers around the United States, so every state is part of a regional food business center. And I think it's notable that the other regional food business centers are coordinated by big players. Colorado State University is the Northwest and Rocky Mountain region. Texas A&M, the Michigan State University. And so we are one of the smallest centers run by one of the smallest organizations, but I think all throughout the process, we have been one of the first to get our materials in, have our planning meetings, and get ourselves organized. So, and that's largely in part due to the hard work and proactiveness of our leaders at Region 5 Planning Commission, and our state leaders from North Dakota Farmers Union. So this is a 3-state project. There are 30 some partners across the 3 states. The goal is to drive economic opportunities across the region, creating a more diversified and resilient food system. It's to create opportunities for region-specific solutions, maximize locally driven investment impact, and complement and support other USDA programs. So the center serves as a point of coordination. It helps provide technical assistance to help more local food businesses succeed, and capacity building. There will be some opportunities to apply for grant funding. I already showed you these. So this is the org chart: Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. The farmers unions in each state are the leads. Then there are what's called technical assistance providers in each state. In North Dakota, that is the 8 economic development commissions. I'll talk more about North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance's role in a minute. There's also an evaluation component by the North Dakota Women's Business Center. So these are the partner organizations. It's so tiny. This is just to give you an idea of the scope of the number of partners. Here is a better slide. These are the North Dakota partners. So you can see the 8 regional planning councils are providing technical assistance. We have North Dakota Farmers Union coordinating everybody. North Dakota Women's Business Center is providing evaluation. And then the North Dakota Local Foods Development Alliance, in partnership with farms, is providing technical assistance advisory support, meaning we will help the regional planning councils to connect with the farmers, the food businesses, the processors, aggregators on the ground to ensure that their voices are included throughout the process. North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives and their foundation is also a key player in this. They are, I can't remember if they're a TA or TA advisory, but they are playing a connecting role as well. And we will get into that more. Okay, I think the rest of the slides will kind of, I'll jump back to these because we're going to dive more into, yeah, I'll jump back to these as we dive into more detail. So I wanted to spend a good chunk of today talking about North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance's role. And what does it mean that we are a technical assistance advisory provider? I also wanted to be transparent about the way that we chose to make North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance's role work. So when we were asked to sign on to this project, part of it was because we knew that having a local foods policy council or local foods development council like the Alliance would definitely strengthen the plan, strengthen the application. However, North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance didn't have any staff at that time, and they still don't have any staff. And what we've been doing since about 2020 is Farms, the nonprofit, has been donating our staff time for the administrative support of North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance. So after some conversations, North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance and Farms have signed a contract for year one of this 5-year project. The Regional Food Business Centers is a 5-year program. And the initial start date was July 1st of 2023. So for these first 12 months, Farms, meaning Felicity, Shelby, me, and our 2 other staff at Farms, will be working on behalf of the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance to complete the Alliance's deliverables under this program. So what are those deliverables? So attend the statewide kickoff summit. Check. That was last week on Monday, and we were there with all of the regional planning councils and Farmers Union. And this meeting is our attempt to bring what we learned back to the larger group, and we will be sharing out what we learned in other ways. A lot of the day was spent learning this WealthWorks model. I decided it didn't make much sense. We had a planning meeting earlier. We decided today was better spent talking through some of the logistics and organization. There will be a recording of the WealthWorks training that was provided, and we will make that available to the partners, as well as all the handouts we got. WealthWorks is a great planning tool and framework for community development, and we'll make sure that is available. Each of the 8 regional planning councils is tasked with creating a regional action plan. And they are asked to submit those by December 31st. These regional action plans are intended to start with an inclusion of input and feedback from community members. So that means they need to start with an in-person meeting and or a survey, and they want you need input from diverse types of residents, growers and producers, aggregators, distributors, processors, food access points, and especially diverse populations, and elected officials, state, federal organizations, artists, environmental stewards. Now, this kind of diversity and these sorts of people are exactly the sort of people that we've been trying to recruit to the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance since we were launched back in 2017. This is exactly what we've been doing for the last 5 or so years, is trying to garner that engagement in food systems building across the state, across a diverse array of stakeholders and partners. So we are here, the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance, which is farms acting on behalf of the Local Food Development Alliance. Our job is to connect you, the 8 regional planning councils, with those stakeholders in your region. So if you are going to have an in-person planning meeting, we would be happy to work with you. We would meet with you beforehand, identify those stakeholders in your region, and we would support you in reaching out to those stakeholders. Likewise with surveys, if you're planning to do a survey, it happens that we at Farms already had some plans to do some farmer outreach surveys. So if we're both needing to survey farmers across the state, we could, combine those surveys and work together to expand our reach even further. Okay. So I'll pause there and see if anybody has questions or comments. So as I said, North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance has been working to build local food systems since 2017. And so we have done some planning work that can benefit the Regional Food Business Center. Likewise, the Regional Food Business Center will further NDLFDA's goal of co-creating resilient local food systems in North Dakota, as it states in our mission statement. So these regional action plans, it also mentions starting with some data, only a paragraph, but having a starting place is certainly helpful to the planning councils. Before I get into that, I do see a hand up. Paul, did you have something you wanted to ask?
I actually might have found my own answer. I was just asking what the deadline for the regional planning councils was to do all of this.
She does want the state plan, regional plan submitted by December 31st. And I'm glad you asked that, because they did hand out a timeline, and we haven't gotten digital copies of the materials from last week yet. So I just quickly scanned this one. It's not uploaded because I'm assuming that we will get a better digital copy, and we'll make that available. So
and who is she? Said she wants. Who's she?
Cheryl Hills, who is the executive director of Region 5 Planning Commission, and which makes her kind of the lead for the whole project. So as you can see, we're here in July. We've had the kickoff meetings for each state. And the timeline shows from July to October as the action plan public engagement period. So the idea, I think, is that it's ideal to have those community planning meetings, those surveys, to complete those by October, which allows all of November and December for the actual writing of the action plan and posting it for public comment, which is a best practice. So if it's posted for public comment by, late November, that gives time for public comments to be received and the plan to be submitted by December 31st, which is a requirement from the USDA. So our role would be to assist TA providers, the planning councils, with inviting people to the action planning meetings or having them fill out surveys. Now, October, it mentions onboarding the Business Builder Review Committee members, and I did put the Business Builder grant awards in the agenda, so we will talk about that a little bit later in our meeting. So just reorganizing the information in my head. Okay. North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance has some other tasks besides getting local stakeholders to these meetings. We are also tasked with attending and securing speakers for annual annual summits. And so we would be identifying, probably based on the monthly meetings and the feedback from these community meetings, what are subjects that people want to learn more about. And so using that information, we would identify speakers, just as we already identify speakers for our monthly membership meetings. We are also tasked with securing a commitment for at least one of the 5 reviewers for the state of North Dakota for the grant awards, the Business Builder grants. And we are supporting survey collection, so supporting the evaluation component. And then we will be offering 1 recorded Zoom workshop per year. And that that would be on topics that are relevant to the membership, both of NDLFDA and the Regional Food Business Center. So again, what we learn from these community meetings and the action plans will help inform what sorts of Zoom workshops people want. Now, the regional planning councils, and most of you know this already because you work for planning councils, but for a few of the rest of us, this might be helpful. This has been helpful for me. So these are the 8 regional planning councils. Looks like it goes clockwise, starting from about 11 o'clock around the state. And each of those planning councils are tasked with creating those action plans and writing grants to bring federal dollars into the state based on what they learn in the process of creating those action plans. It also says that those action plans are to start with some data. So no more than 1 paragraph of data-based context that was used to inform the assessment. And this is where I think that the Local Food Development Alliance can be of some assistance. When we started back we were launched in really like January of 2018. And we've had some planning sessions, including a kickoff in Jamestown in fall of 2018. And we did some kind of SWOT analysis and identifying challenges for our local food systems, our dreams for our local food systems, and a summary document with next steps. That was followed by a food hub huddle up in spring of 2019. And we've done some strategic planning in spring of 2022. So in addition to that, we have put together some resources from partners. For example, Paul here is here from the Northern Plains Resource Conservation and Development Council. And you did a survey or a needs assessment for Northeast North Dakota back in 2019, right, Paul? And we have that, here we go, Northeast North Dakota Local Food Report. So something like this could be really useful for the two planning councils in the Northeast region, the Red River Council and I think the one around Devil's Lake. I don't know if you wanted to say anything else about that, Paul. Okay. So likewise, all of that planning work that the Local Food Development Alliance has done, well, it may not, some of it's a few years old, so you still need to do some current research, but it's a great starting point. There's some good starting data that can point you towards, new data, and it kind of all together, it kind of paints the picture of the way our local food system has developed and evolved over the past decade or so. Another part of the regional planning councils are tasked with writing a certain number of grants each year. And Cheryl did say that, one of those grants can be the business builder grants that are part of this project. But there are also a lot of other federal grants that honestly get left on the table every year. And so a couple of years back, we sat down, Felicity Merritt and I sat down and put together a resource list for the Local Food Development Alliance partners. And this isn't comprehensive because there's new grants added all the time, which, like, the USDA comes out with new grants, it seems like. So we will be adding to this, but it's a great starting point. There's federal grants here, state grants, and foundation grants. So perhaps we as the Local Food Development Alliance could hold some grant planning meetings. For example, the USDA's Farmers Market Promotion Program and Local Food Promotion Program and Regional Food Systems Partnership grants always come out in the spring, around their deadlines, usually around March, or maybe sometimes later. But if we know that they're always coming out in the spring, and those are a great fit those are specifically for local foods projects like this, perhaps we could organize a planning meeting in January for people to put their heads together and think what partnerships and what grant ideas we might want to apply for. I will pause there for a second and leave room for some questions or comments.
So, and this maybe is a bigger question than what you're after, but so the ultimate goal here is through this collection of various leadership coming from regional planning councils to connect either current local food producers, processors, retailers, whatever's going on, with resources that are available, as well as creating opportunities for new producers and processors and connecting them with resources that are available.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think a lot of the emphasis is on mid-tier value chains. So more of the processing and the aggregation.
Okay.
So well, I don't recall it ever explicitly being said that a small farm could not apply for these like business builder grants that we'll talk about in a minute. I believe, and somebody who was there, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Cheryl said that the business builder grants applicants are going to be more successful if they are a project that is a collaboration of, you know, multiple farmers and processors. One example would be the Red River Harvest Co-op that is many farmers working together to aggregate their products and market them together through an online platform. Another good example is the warehousing project that is being planned for the Minot region. So briefly, while we're speaking about grants, there is one that was recently announced called the Community Food Projects Program from the USDA. Now, I did sit down and I looked through the RFA last night. So the good news is that it's due October 30th, so there's plenty of time for planning. This grant is focused on serving low-income populations. So a project that incorporates something like the Great Plains Food Bank or a feeding program or other partners that work with low-income populations is probably going to be more successful. These grants also require a dollar-for-dollar match. So that could be challenging to come up with unless you have many partners and you have partners who are contributing substantial in-kind resources, like, you know, donating their time to the project. But I am bringing it up now in case there's, you know, somebody who already has a project in the works or it sparks an idea. And I've seen this one before, so I have every reason to assume it'll be available again this time next year. So the other big part of this project is the business builder grants. So if we go back to our slides, the whole project is $15 million across 3 states. And a portion of that is for making these business builder grants. That's $1 million for North Dakota over 5 years, which is $200,000 each year. These grants are a maximum of $50,000 per grant. And if we go back to our timeline, there is going to be a review committee comprised of five members from North Dakota who are reviewing North Dakota grants. And so we are recruiting those 5 members for the review committee now. And that's one area where the North Dakota local, you know, those of you who are on this call, if you know of people who are engaged in agriculture or food systems or, you know, who are part of the system and would want to sit on the review committee, send them our way. We have a draft of a nomination form. I believe we'll get the final material soon. One thing is that if you're on the review committee, you are not eligible to apply for the grant. So that's something to balance. But it looks like the RFP will be posted in November. And so proposals will be reviewed in December and the grant awards for year one will be made January of 2024. So this will be, once we get rolling, it will be a fairly quick process. We also do have a draft already. We received a draft of the grant requirements and the scoring criteria. I didn't have them in digital form, so I'm not sharing them today, but we will, I'm sure we'll have them to share soon, or they'll be made public. I think we're just editing. Okay, so actually a bit ahead of my schedule. I'm going to open it for questions, and through the questions, we will probably hit on anything that I meant to say and forgot to say.
So I'm curious, what role, Amanda, since you're still, there you are, online. So what role does the Farmers Union, what role are you going to play in coordinating this, and how does that compare with the role of NDOFDA, et cetera?
A lot of Farmers Union role is a lot of just kind of overseeing that everybody who is involved with project is, if there's any difficulties, we're taking that feedback back to Region 5 and back to the USDA, because this is a pilot program, to see if it does become an actual program. So it's really coordinating with everybody who's in part of this partnership and just kind of learning what's working, what's not working, and hosting. Right now we're going to be doing monthly meetings. We'll probably move to bi-monthly once this project is enrolled and we've got into that process. But it's really just kind of coordinating and then also holding the annual summit. So I'll be coordinating with the two other states of Minnesota and South Dakota to, when we bring everybody together, all the partners that are working across those three states, to kind of be the key facilitators, a lot of our role. So I'm more overlooking everything, but I'm not the actual boots on the ground, but I'm really collecting a lot of the data and bringing this information back from our partners. So. Does that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, I just, so let me just be a little cynical or snarky here. And I'm trying to figure out how this works. When I looked at the funding thing, about 80% goes to partners and 20% to boots on the ground. So I'm trying to figure out, what do the partners, when we get done with this program in 2 years or 3 years or however long it is, what's going to have happened from the partner side to justify 80% of the money going to partners that will make this pilot project something where USDA goes, okay, this was successful?
I really don't have a good question for that. I'll let you answer if you had something, Stephanie.
Well, I was
you don't have to.
It's a valid question and comment, and it's something that we've been bringing up to Cheryl from the beginning. Especially with the technical assistance, because she has made it clear several times that when we say technical assistance in this program, as in the regional planning councils are providing technical assistance, it does not mean that they're being paid by the grant to, for example, sit across from a farmer and help him or her or them create their business plan and find funding. It's more of a higher level of technical assistance. She used the word act as a concierge, direct them toward the services. And my response was, well, if they're just directing them towards the people who help them write the business plan, who's paying those of us who are helping them write the business plans? Like, the business plan creators the direct service providers need funding too. But that was not something that's not something I have any control over in this project. The design has already been set. So how can we use our roles to expand capacity in other ways? How can we pull the partners and the pieces together? You know, how can we use our planning meetings, the things that this grant will fund, to leverage other things to build our local food system, so that at the end of the 5 years, we are left with something that makes our state, and leaves us with a sustainable local food system.
Stephanie, do you mind if I chime in here?
Please do.
I'm assuming all of the regional councils are part of that 80% portion that we're discussing. And as Stephanie said, so my name is Briselda. I'm the Executive Director for Service Basin Planning Council. I will be fully transparent, and I believe some of my peers would also jump on that same level of transparency, that this is a fairly new endeavor for a lot of us regional councils. The type of technical assistance support that we are used to, comfortable with, and also very good at is looking at Stephanie had mentioned, more of that higher level project planning piece, where we have a lot of great connections with not only our federal partners, but also local, regional, and nationwide partners. So really leveraging that network and that expertise that a lot of us regional councils have to build upon the work that not only is taking place now, but will take on in the future. So in terms of Service Basin Planning Council, we cover Region 2, where we see that we can help build capacity and provide that technical assistance is by supporting those entities like a farms, like the Alliance, essentially build capacity for your entities. So you not are only able to fulfill your current mission, but any future endeavors that you take on and you help lead. I'll just provide a quick example right now. Stephanie and I have kind of been brainstorming on how do we expand farms work. And that work, not just for our region, but with all of the regions across the state. So we feel like where we can leverage our expertise is by spending time not only collaborating, brainstorming, but maybe looking at our EDA partners or our USDA partners, our county commissioners, where our boards are made up of elected officials, community leaders. So we have a lot of potential partnerships and networks that we can leverage to elevate these organizations that are providing more of that direct technical assistance. Not every regional council is built the same, so there are going to be some who maybe provide more of that direct assistance. That may be because they have more experience in the type of work, like Dawn's region out of Region 4. Also Region 8, they host a small business development center, so they have maybe a lot more experience with that direct support. We do not have a small business development center out of our organization, but we work directly with our Region 2 small business development center. So that's just to give an example of the type of work or how we feel like we can fit in this overall initiative.
And a really concrete example is Briselda and I had a great conversation about how Service Basin Planning Council can expand farms' capacity in terms of some of the more concrete tasks like bookkeeping and things that maybe like an AmeriCorps member could do, which means that I can, and Jennifer, my director of operations, can spend more time providing technical assistance and business planning one-on-one with farmers. So that was a creative way we approached that. Partnering with small business development centers is another way. You know, how can we expand the capacity of small business development centers, because they are great at business planning and, you know, helping farmers. Some have even written grants for farmers. So how can their capacity be expanded? Any other comments? Another example I thought of, I actually wrote this down in reference to the community food project.
Sorry.
Okay. Was the NDSU Extension has a farmers market food navigator project where they have resources to train and outfit people to be food navigators at farmers markets, helping people connect with SNAP and other resources. So something like that could be, I don't know, woven in, or a connection. So I'm going to put the email address for the North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance, ndlocalfood@gmail.com. I'm putting that in the chat. That's a great way to reach out. I check that, as does Felicity and Shelby. So you can reach us that way. If you prefer to email me directly, I'm at sbloomhagen@farms.org, and that's in the chat as well. If you have questions or just want to talk through some of these things in more depth, we're happy to help. Again, this is this is a pilot project. This is brand new. We're building the plane as we're flying it. We're working out all the little kinks and details, and so I know that we are going to do our best work to ensure that this project works out to truly benefit North Dakota and our local food producers and our local food systems. We always spend the last few minutes of our meetings on member updates. And so I will start by sharing that Farms is having a field day. Actually, Felicity does a really good job of explaining this, so I'm going to turn this over to her.
Yeah, so Farms is going to be hosting a field tour in the Fargo area. It's going to be September 14th. It's a Thursday, and we'll have a bus pick everyone up in town in Fargo, and then we'll be touring a few different farms south of Fargo. We're going to Exit 44 Flowers, Family Roots Farm, 10-7 acres, and then we're doing lunch and a mini farmers market at Crooked Lane Farm. So you'll get to see all kinds of different products, all types of different small farms who are all doing kind of direct to consumer marketing, and a chance to just meet the farmers, meet other people who are interested in sustainable ag and local food. Tickets are $50, and that includes your transportation all day, as well as breakfast and lunch, and then getting you back into Fargo around 4:30. And we are, oh, I see it's in the chat. We are accepting registrations right now. So our website is in the chat to learn more about it and sign up.
Do any other partners have updates? And I want to share that we have a member updates page on our website. Our website's ndlocalfood.org, and then at the top there's a menu, and if you click member updates, that gets you here. It's sort of like our own little Facebook if you aren't already registered, you can click the little person icon up here and it'll give you instructions for creating a login and profile. And that way you can share local food happenings from around the state. You can anytime, it doesn't have to be during a meeting. So these are there. Oh, Amanda, we ran across North Dakota Farmers Union Wild Women in Leadership Development event coming up.
Yes, I could share some information on that. I don't know a whole lot of it about it. I'm not planning it, but I do know it's the end of September. Oh, let me see if I can find some information on that real quick. But the registration is $30 to attend, and it will be at the Nome School in Nome. And so a lot of it will be kind of a leadership fun day. You do not have to be a North Dakota Farmers Union member to attend, but it's really empowering women and some great discussion that will be had. I will put that in the link if anybody's interested on it and attending that.
I think I found the Eventbrite. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Am I still sharing my screen? Yes, I am.
Yep.
So Saturday, September 30th. September 28th, there's an organic education field day at Menoken Farm and Dr. Organics. It's hosted by Acres, which is a nationwide organization, but farms will be there, hopefully with a table and just sort of supporting the event. Are there any other? Jenna, are there any happenings with the Bismarck or other Bismarck events coming up?
Yeah, so we did just have our kids market a couple weeks ago. It went really, really well. We had, I think, 70 total vendors, so we were kind of around where we were last year with around 40 kids vendors. We had to turn some away too. So it went really great. We had a lot of really great attendance this year, just overall. So even with the kids markets and everything, it's been great. Coming up here this Saturday, if anyone's in town, we have NDSU doing a cooking demo in the shelter with the Vitamix and then some of the fresh veggies. And yeah, as far as farm to school, we've been processing corn the last few weeks. I think we're probably done with it now. We've been doing about 250 dozen a week since then. But now we're going to start getting into the school year and start seeing what the producers really have, because before school year, it's kind of hard to take things. We have to make sure we can process it and save it. But yeah, everything's going well there. So.
I don't think we have anyone from Extension on today. I don't know if their food systems specialist position is still open. And also the North Dakota Department of Agriculture has an opening for their local foods marketing specialist. So Angie, the previous specialist, took a different job somewhere else, so that there's an opening there. And there was a local foods fellowship. Am I sharing my which I will share to the resources page because I don't remember. I think Jan Stankiewicz shared that one. Oh, no, here it is. It's from the USDA. It's a food supply chain fellowship. Oh, never mind. That was due August 7th. And you know, the other thing is it's the time of year for the crunch off. And I see a KFYR story about Farm to School 2023 Mountain Plains Crunch Off. We will post information about that in the resources page too, since we don't have someone from Department of Ag or Farm to School here today. But that's an event each year where we encourage healthy eating by, I think we usually pick something like apples, or it can be any crunchy vegetable, and you share a photo or a video of you, like maybe your workplace will sign up as a team and everybody crunches and you share a picture and compete with other states to see which state has the most crunches. So all right, well, it's 2:59. Are there any last updates, questions, comments?
Stephanie, can I just add?
Absolutely.
Every regional council right now is currently undergoing their comprehensive economic development strategy planning process. This is completed every 5 years, and it's a requirement placed by the Economic Development Administration. I highly encourage for those of you, whether it's through the Alliance or as an individual, whether you're a producer or farmer, to engage with your local regional council. Stephanie has shared the map of every region, and just to really go over, you know, what's in that plan. I've met with a couple of stakeholders, including farms, to incorporate some feedback and do a mini needs assessment for a region. It's just a great opportunity to address some of the needs that pertain to the local food systems. And it's very important that it's part of your region's 5-year strategic plan, because it says to EDA, this is a priority. This is what we want to look into in the next 5 years. So if you haven't engaged with your local regional council, I'm just putting you all, those of you who are joining me, on the spot now. But I highly encourage it because it's also another great way to access federal funding, potentially access federal funding for community projects within those regions. Thank you.
So can I ask you a real quick question on that? Is there, because I'm not familiar with all the planning council's work, is there like a state director in charge of the regional planning councils, or how does that administered?
There isn't. So we're all designated economic development districts, as designated by the Economic Development Administration. At the federal level, we work a lot with our state, whether it's through the Department of Commerce or other departments. But we're mandated to exist through the Century Code, but other than that, we don't have a direct tie with any department within the state.
You do have like a national body though, right? Last week she kept referring to, was it like NEDA or?
So the association is just a membership association. Yeah, so we were created by state law. State law designates our makeup and our purpose, but we don't receive direct funding from the state. We're not under a specific department through the state. We are designated economic development districts. And essentially, we all have this 5-year comprehensive economic development strategy that we develop as required by our federal funding agency, which is EDA, or the Economic Development Administration. If any regional councils, if I misquoted, please feel free to step in. But we do have elected officials that serve on our board, county commissioners, city elected leaders, other stakeholders. Hence why I say get involved with your regional council, because there's a lot of networking connections that we can leverage through this, not only this initiative, but any local needs. So.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. I will make the recording available probably tomorrow. Posted on our website, ndlocalfood.org, and that's where you can find updates, next meeting agendas, recordings from past meetings, and how you can connect with us. So thanks again, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.